Today I'm going to be crocheting a wreath using size 4 or medium or worsted weight yarn and a size H crochet hook. And I'll put these details in the description box below. But to start out, we need to make a slip knot to attach the yarn to our hook. And we're going to do that by crossing the end of the tail over top of the main yarn. So if it has to be over top of it, and how long you want your tail to sew in later is determined by this length. So I want that tail to be a little bit longer so I can sew it in and secure the end of my work. So it's over top of this main yarn. I take my loop and I place it over the main yarn, and then I grab that main yarn piece through the middle, hold both ends and pull, and this is a slip knot. And now that you've made your slip knot, you can adjust it. So this can't be adjusted. This is what we determined in the beginning, but how big or small your loop is can be adjusted by just pulling your main yarn. So we put our hook, and it doesn't matter which way through the hoop you put it in, and pull your main yarn to tighten it onto your hook. And we don't want it to be really tight. We want it to be able to move on the crochet hook. That's the idea. The idea is that each of our loops is the size of this hook. So if I had a bigger crochet hook, my loop would be the size of that crochet hook. We want our loops to be this size. And make sure not to make it on the bulky part or the super tapered bit of the crochet hook. That's the size that we want. And if you pull the small end, you can make your loop bigger. You pull on the main one and it makes it tighter. You've attached to your hook. Now we're going to be holding the yarn. Hold the crochet hook in your dominant hand, and with your non-dominant hand, we're going to wrap the yarn around our hand to control tension. I do this by wrapping it around my pinky all the way around, and then I go over my fingers, and now my pinky is holding that yarn, and when I need more, I just let it out a little bit. And you'll have to redo this several times while you're crocheting to keep that tension. If things get loose, let go of your yarn, rewrap it so that you have the tension that you need. And again, I'll show it from above. If you want, I go between my fingers and around my pinky twice and over top my fingers. And then I clamp them together so that I have that tension there. I always lift my index finger if it's a little bit loose to further control the tension that I need. And now I'm going to do a chain stitch. We're going to start with a chain. How many chains you do determines how big your wreath will be. For a very small wreath that I'm doing today, I'm only going to do 36. And if you do 60, it will make a larger wreath, so on and so forth. The more you start out with, the bigger around your wreath is going to be. Not bulk, but in diameter. So we're going to start out with a chain stitch, and the way that you do a chain stitch is you take your crochet hook, you go down, back, and back up, and then pull it towards the loop to grasp onto the yarn. And then you want to pull it, so once you're in that position, you can down, under, back, and back up to grab it. Face your crochet hook down. We need to get back through this loop that was on our crochet hook, and if you try and come from above, you'll start tipping the crochet hook and everything will come off of it. So hook it, face your hook down, and then tilt, and you want to get that crochet hook through your loop, and then you can readjust it. Be careful not to spin anything while you do that. It will affect the look of your piece. So it should be more of a stabbing motion. I hold my crochet hook like a knife. You can hold it like a pencil. That doesn't matter for the look or anything, how you use it, hold it how it's more comfortable for you. But grab the yarn, pull it through, and then don't twist anything. That's one chain. It's made a little loop on our hook. We have a new loop, and we have the one we made down below it. And we're gonna do that 35 more times. We have one here, and this is what I mean by not twisting the yarn. We're gonna go back and back up and grab the yarn, pull it through, and then we're not going to do anything with our hook except push it back forward to grab it again. No twisting or turning or anything like that. Grab it, pull it through, and then push it back forward. And I just had to undo this to give myself more yarn because I'm running out. I've used this much yarn so far, and so my tension was getting too tight and too close. So my pinky went out a little bit and I gave myself some more yarn. And now that we're at this position, my fingers are still down here, and now I have some space in between here. These don't matter, we're done with these. We created these chains. All that matters is what's happening on my hook. So jump your fingers up, and that's on your non-dominant hand. Jump it up and grab onto next to your hook, because the only thing that matters is what's on your hook and that tension on your yarn. And we're going to make another one. Wrap and pull through. I let out some more yarn there, and now my index finger has compensated. I let out too much, and I don't want to adjust my hand. I don't want to let go of everything right now and redo it. So my index finger is adjusting for too much yarn. I grab it, pull it through, grab it, pull it through, and see, I'm not moving this hook around, I'm not twisting it down through or anything like that. And I've got to jump my fingers back up. So as I've made 3 more, and this is getting loosey-goosey, I need to control. So grab it, pull it through, grab it, pull it through. And now I have a decent sized cord here I'm going to count. I haven't been keeping count. I need to make quite a bit of these, but I want to go over how you tell how many you've had so far. So our knot is here at the end, and then a chain stitch is made up of these 2 sides, and I'll show you the back in a second. But these 2 right here, this little heart shape or V is 1. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the one on my hook right now is 9. If I let go of the yarn, this is not an established chain, so I'm not counting that one. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Now I have 36 chains to work in. Something else about the yarn on your hook here, you can manipulate how big your hoop is on your yarn. The biggest struggle that beginners have is making their chains or stitches too tight. And I'm going to frog back to this moment here. This is how many we needed. I'm going to do some examples of what I mean. Once you're making chains, how big this loop is matters. So let's say instead of it being the size of the hook, I loosened them a bit and made my chains loose, like big and open. This is what my chain is going to look like in comparison to these. So that's just not enough tension, not keeping everything tight. And I'm going to frog my work. So I took that off of here, but I'm holding it where it needs to stay. And I'm going to frog it, which is called that because you rip it out. You rip it. But I'm going to take it out back to where I need, put it back on my hook, and tighten it. Now, something else I do is make things too tight, and that would get us in a pickle. So if you've tightened your hook up here by the end, that's a really small space, and the head is bigger than this, and this is bigger than that. So if you do yours really tight up here and do them really small, you can see the difference between mine and then these really small ones. I'm not going to be able to use this chain now. I can't get the hook back through it, so it's not usable. It's a technique if you want to create something like that. Like you would purposely do that to make hair or strands or tassels or something like that on a piece. You want them super tight so you don't have this look of like holy crochet, but you get more of like a stick or delicate look, but you're not going to be crocheting into it. So I'm going to take those out like I did before. I've grasped my piece here so I don't lose any that I did, and I'm pulling them out until I pulled it out a little bit too far. One of them came out, so I'm going to recount and make sure that I have all that I need again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. I am missing one. 36. Now that I have my 36, I'm moving on to the second step. And this project is only the two main steps, and then we assemble our wreath. So first step was making our chain. Make it as long as you'd like. It doesn't affect the pattern. Sometimes it does, so be mindful when you're following a pattern that you can't always just make things longer to make things bigger or wider. But in this case, it doesn't matter. It will just affect like the diameter of our wreath. Our wreath essentially is going to be this big. Now, the next step is to do single crochet in each one of these chains. Like a chain, and again, a chain is just we wrap the yarn around our hook and pull it through. A single crochet is we use the chains that we made, and each one is made up of those two lines that make the V, not the one on our hook, this one or that one. And most patterns will acknowledge this and say the second chain on your hook, not this one. The second chain on your hook will be this one, and you'll want to go in between those two. And see, I grabbed the back. I'm going to turn this over and show you the back real quick so I can explain what's going on. This is the back of the work, and the front of the work is V's. The back of the work has 3. It's got one on either side and then a bump in the middle, and that bump is kind of like a chain link. It gives it kind of a chain link look. This is the back of the work. So what happened was I want just the top bar on this, and I accidentally grabbed that middle bump, and I don't want to do that. I want the middle bump in the back and the bottom bar to be below. So I'm inserting my hook, and I made them just a little bit too tight, so I'm having some difficulty. The bottom bar and that middle one are below, and the only thing my hook has got is that top bar. So let me try it again. I've got the 2. I'd insert it just above the bottom one. I grab the yarn just like I did for a chain, and I pull it through just that top bar. And so I still have 2. I'm going to grab it again, and I pull it through both. And when you grab it just like a chain and pull it down, and you want to get it through both those loops. If anything you do is too tight, you're going to have a lot of difficulty getting it through those 2 loops. That's a chain. So that's a single crochet, I mean. And so I've made my 2 bars here inside this top loop. So this whole thing is my chain. That's the bar in the back, and this is the bottom, and this is the top. And I've made a single crochet here that's 2 bars, and if I turn it, it's got a V shape just like a chain. I'm going to do that 2 more times in that same space. So just the top bar, I want to insert it, grab it, pull it through, and then grab it, pull it through both. I've got 2 in this space, and you can see the hole is getting bigger. That's fine. It'll be hidden by the twisting nature of the wreath. But see, if I turn it to the side, you can see I've got 2 V's there, and on here in the front I've got 4 stitches, which is hard to see, but I've got 4. Man, if I could get it with my nails. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 single crochet. I'm going to do 1 more. So I'm going to go in, grab it, pull it through, grab it, pull it through both, and I've got 3. 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to go to the next one. So the next chain, and I'm going to do the same thing in each chain. So this is stretched out a bit, and so it's harder to see on the end here, but if you start a bit back and work your way towards it, you can tell what's going on. So this is a chain, this is a chain, and this is a chain. These pieces have been stretched out from that original one. So I want to do just the top bar of the next chain, which is here. And I'm going to do 3. Grab it, pull it through, grab it, pull it through both, put it back through that hole, grab it, pull it through, grab it, pull it through both, put it through, grab it, pull it through, grab it, pull it through both. Now I've started creating a monstrosity here. This is the end. I've got 6, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that I've made. My piece is starting to twist. We're going to make one spiral here by doing this because I'm adding more stitches that fit into this space, and that's causing it to twist up onto itself. There's more in here that can fit, and therefore we're getting the whole work twisting up. And you'll see it more as we go on. But again, the next one, here's one, and here's one. So we're gonna go right above, and I'm gonna make 3. That's 1, 2, 3, and it's twisted even more. The next one, it's 1, 2, 3. So we want this bar right here, and I'm gonna do 3. 1, 2, 3. And now this is twisted up and it's actually getting in my way. So be mindful of that, readjust yourself, and make yourself space because this is gonna start getting fiddly. So in the next one, that's 1, that's 1, and this is 1. This one's small, I made it a bit too tight. So, and see this tail's getting in the way. I'm going to make 3 in here. 1, 2, 3. And if it's helpful, you can go into the settings and slow down the playback speed. But now here we've got this, the beginning of our spiral. Chain, and then this end bit, which is attached to it. I keep tucking it underneath. But it'll get better when we get a little bit further on and it's a spiral that starts hanging down. But I'm going to the next one. I'm gonna do 3 in each of these spiral. The next one. Okay, so I'm going to kind of adjust my spiral here a little bit. It's getting really twirly. One, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I've got quite a bit of a spiral here, and it will pull a phone cord on you and see how it's double backed on itself like a U. So you have to, don't worry about that right now. When you get to the end, we can twist it all around and make it a nice, perfect spiral. Let's go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now that we're getting towards the end, we have a spiral going. I need to fix this end. But our chain, I've only got 2 left on here. So in this second to the last one, I'll do 3. And then in the last one, which is hard to see, but there, I separated it a little bit. There's that back bump and the end, and then the top bar and my knot. I do my 3. That's the end of our spiral. So I'm going to finish it with a slip knot. So in this same hole that I've done those last 3 in, I'm going to do a slip knot, and it's just like a chain. You put it in the hole, grab the yarn. It's just like a chain where you put it in the hole, grab your yarn, pull it through, and then pull it through the hoop on your hook too, and then pull it tight. And now we're going to cut this. We're going to leave quite a bit of length because actually we won't need to, because we made our starting end, which is at the same place. These two are at the same place because we ended where we started at the beginning of our chain. So this end can be used to sew our 2 spirals together. We need to make a second one in a darker color or a lighter color for contrast. You can use this to make a candy cane. If you make it 1 red and 1 white, and then instead of forming a wreath, you form a candy cane like this. You can add pipe cleaners to them to hold that shape, because a wreath will hold itself, but this candy cane shape you'll need like a pipe cleaner or something like that, which you can just wrap this around. And we'll need a contrasting color, or you could do it in the same color and just beef up its structure with a second one if you wanted to, or you don't have a second color. But now that we have this, and we'll use this to tie them together, so we don't need this one to be very long, and we're going to snip it off and give ourselves a bit just to have enough to sew it back in here and hide it. And what we do is we've cut that, is we just pull out the loop, and that's created a slip knot. It's right here, and we're going to pull it tight. And so there's our beginning knot, and there's the one we just made right next to each other. Now let's fix this a little bit. So see, I've got that U shape here. It's like not quite a spiral. It's kind of like an old phone cord We can fix it. What I do is I just start with my end and start forming my spiral how it's meant to be. So that's the twist here. So it needs to go this way. And I start sandwiching it on itself like this and untwisting this to fix that U-shape issue. So the U-shape is going to be there all the way to the end. I'm just going to untwist it out. This is also how we put the two of them together, so you can wait until you have your second one because we're going to be untwisting it anyway in order to twist the two of these spirals together. There. Now we have our perfect little spiral. And oops, my end here is a little bit wonky. There we go. Now we're going to make a second one, and I'll be back to show you how to put them together. Now that we have our two spirals in contrasting colors, you find either end. I'm going to be putting the tails all together. So once you have the end, and it's okay to unwind it to find that, you're going to lay them over top of each other and then create your spiral by sandwiching them together as you go. Just twist and form this spiral. These ends are in the way. As you go, and it's gonna be a lot of untwisting and forming. I'll do it from the side so you can see that way, but I'm just laying them together as we go around and around. And it's starting to form the spiral together, and it's fiddly, but we'll get there. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing still, but these two are in the same direction, so this one needs to be turned. And now this one is twisted, needs to go that way. Almost done. Okay. And here is our wreath. Well, this end got, what? There we go. So, and then to create the wreath, we literally just sew those ends together using all these cords. I've got a little bit too much green on this end and not enough green on that end, so I think I'll fiddle with this some more, and I'll do that by pulling this green forward more and then twisting the whole thing to get some of that light green down at this other end. It is just a spiral together. There, I've worked my spiral a little better so they're more even. And now I'm going to use all these ends. Let me get that string back up where it belongs. First, to sew these two together, so this end is secure, and then I will make sure these two are sandwiched together and pull them in and sew them to those two, and then we have a wreath. Keep in mind when you're sewing them together that you want this spiral to be completed by this spiral. So I want that one to begin where that one ends. So I'm going to hold them together. So here's those ends and these ends, and I want to sew them together. So I'm going to do that with all these tails. With a tapestry needle, we use a blunt needle so we don't pierce, break, or compromise the yarn. I'm going to sew in those tails. When you're sewing it in, you want to continue the spiral, so sew the ends together so that it can continue to spiral and you don't get a U shape. I recommend sewing it loosely at first, confirming that you still have your spiral, and then tightening it afterwards. So once you have it sewed and you've sewed these tails in, you cut off all of your tails and you have your little cruller, Christmas wreath here. And now you can embellish it. You can make a chain to hang it as an ornament. You can make a red chain and tie the red chain into a bow and then sew that onto here. Or you could get little miniatures and decorate it as if it was a little baby wreath. You can also crochet a third spiral and beef it up even more. There's space here. You can wrap both of these around a pipe cleaner and help it maintain its shape better, or do other shapes like a candy cane. But that is your finished crocheted wreath.